If you look at the reason that the iPod exists and that Apple's in that marketplace, it's because these really great Japanese consumer electronics companies who kind of own the portable music market for a long, invented it and owned it, couldn't do the appropriate software, couldn't conceive of and implement the appropriate software. Because an iPod's really just software. It's software in the iPod itself, it's software on the PC or the Mac, and it's software in the cloud for the store. And it's in a beautiful box, but it's software. If you look at what a Mac is, it's OS X, right? It's in a beautiful box, but it's OS X. And if you look at what an iPhone will hopefully be, it's software. And so the big secret about Apple, of course, not so big secret maybe, is that Apple views itself as a software company.
Dear Apple, what happened? Apple is in a weird spot. Excitement is up, their revenue is hitting record highs, iPhone is up, Mac is up, even in a declining PC market, even in a worldwide chip shortage. Apple hardware is thriving. Their hardware is next level, as you might have heard.
I think this is the first time I can truly say something is actually next level. These laptops have been next level.
And you know what? It's true. We have amazing hardware coming from Apple right now. The new MacBook Pro models are amazing. And I mean, the iPhone from a hardware manufacturing standpoint is unmatched. It's at a point now where the manufacturing process Apple has implemented is nearly perfected. It is so optimized and streamlined that these phones are more durable than ever. You've seen it, surviving crazy drop tests without cases on them, lasting for years and years on end. Yes, I would say that right now, Apple is making next level hardware. But I cannot comfortably say that I believe that Apple makes great products anymore. Because the difference between a good product and a great product is not next level hardware. It's software. I know, a lot of you probably clicked on this video already fired up, and you're already down there typing away at your angry comment. But do me a favor, just watch the video, the whole video. Hear me out. Then you can leave your angry comments. Let me make my case, and then you can make yours. Here, how about a story? When I was but a wee me back in high school with my early iPhones, I remember the kids with Android phones coming in with their cool new gimmicky features that barely worked. They'd always show it off, all proud, like, I bet your iPhone can't do this. And then they would like look at their phones like over top of the phones and blink all crazy like this, and their phone would like take a screenshot or something stupid. And I always felt like, okay, yeah, you know, that's cool. But if I want to make a phone call or a text or take a good picture, I know my iPhone is going to do it. That was me in high school. Reliability. The one thing that always has me coming back to iOS, and I have used both Android and iOS a lot, but the one thing that always has me coming back is that. Reliability. I never used to worry about my phone not working or being too slow. I never used to worry about making a phone call or sending a text. I never used to worry about being able to snap a picture, a good picture, on time, because everything just worked. Could I blink and take a screenshot? No. But could I depend on my phone to do phone things? Yep. I don't like tinkering. The onus of making sure that software works should not be on me. And I am a technology enthusiast, someone who makes a tech show called Front Page Tech. I don't want to tinker with stuff. And at the end of the day, they're just tools. And I just want an experience that I know and that I know I can trust. But now, with my Apple products lately, I don't feel that way anymore. Hardware, even the best hardware, is only a vehicle for what is supposed to be good software. That is why I hate talking about specs on this channel, because numbers on paper do not speak to actual experiences. Specs mean nothing. Your megapixels and your camera sensor mean nothing if your app doesn't open on time or take reliable shots. If you miss capturing that important moment, it's gone. You missed it. I mean, to be fair, you missed it in 50 megapixels. But you still missed it. That's exactly where I'm starting to get with Apple right now. When I open my iPhone 13 to take a picture of something, it's just blackness. It just opens, the camera app opens up and it's just dark. And that lasts for about 15 seconds, even if I force close, and by that point, the moment's gone. I missed it. And the other day, on a completely different iPhone 13 Pro Max, we were trying to crop a picture, a family photo for an upcoming birthday, and it just, this is what we got. I don't even know what this is. It's not working, though. Something so simple that an iPhone has always reliably been able to do, and we just couldn't do it in that moment, and that's incredibly frustrating. And don't worry, I have plenty more to talk about. Let's take a quick break for today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by our friends over at WeVPN. With their Black Friday sale, you can get 77% off of a 2-year subscription with an additional 3 months for free. That breaks down to just $233 a month, and you get hooked up with the industry-leading VPN for streaming, supporting over 400 streaming services. Secure up to 10 devices at the same time with support for desktop, mobile devices, smart TVs, gaming consoles, browsers, and more. Just click the link down in the description below to get started today. So, yeah, this video is not about hardware because, well, simply, it has never been a hardware game. The game is software. Always has been. It's funny because I always used to make fun of Android manufacturers for putting so much emphasis on how crazy their hardware was, because at the end of the day, I mean, I know what their software felt like, and to me, just putting all the emphasis on hardware feels, well, it feels shallow. And now, it feels like Apple is starting to move in that same shallow direction. To be honest, that has made a lot of my excitement go away. Now, when I get a new product, I get anxiety. I get stressed out knowing that my setup experience is probably going to be a nightmare. Like, when I first got my iPhone 13, for weeks, my display just didn't work. Literally, the touchscreen was just unresponsive too much of the time. I mean, could you imagine if someone was like hurt or in trouble and they needed to call 911, they picked up their iPhone 13 and their display was just like, how about no? And don't even get me started on Mac OS. A good 10% of the time on my iMac, my cursor will just gone. It'll just disappear, and I can't use my mouse again until I do a hard restart. The copy from iPhone and paste on Mac stuff, handoff, doesn't work either. Something that, you know, is supposed to be amazing because ecosystem or whatever. Bro, it took me 5 hours to set up my Apple Watches this year. I bought one for myself and for Karina, both stainless steel, cellular, and both with their own issues. When I paired my watch for the first time, the UI was literally upside down. I had everything set up correctly in settings based on which hand it was on and where the digital crown was facing, but still, upside down. I had to unpair and repair for it to work. Karina's, well, hers failed to pair for hours, and those are obviously big bugs. Those are big issues. But I gotta be honest, it's the little ones, it's the small ones that make me feel that no one cares. Again, with my Apple Watch Series 7, the new one, when I swap between watch faces, this happens. I swipe to a watch face that I want, but then the watch, for a second, just janks back to the last one before landing on the one that I actually wanted. I mean, I get it, I know, that's kind of funny, and it's an issue. It's a bug that doesn't really slow you down. It doesn't cause a big issue in your life, but that is why I am upset. Because it is those things, those little bugs, that just show you that nobody cares. The fact that we just sort of let this stuff exist because it doesn't really impact our lives is just sad. Small bugs like this one getting through to a final version of software, it means that someone working on this, someone that should care, doesn't. And why would they? Because when anyone brings this sort of thing to people's attention, Apple's user base they're just fine with it. I posted that exact same video, that clip, on Twitter, and half the responses were, that's not a big deal. Not a big deal? What? Like, is that how the experience is supposed to be? Because if it's not designed to be that fucky, then it's a big deal. It's small things like that that everyone just sort of excuses, and before you know it, those small bugs accrue over time until they're all over the place and your entire experience will just be this. I mean, you're defending it, so is that what you want? That's what you want out of your product? Because I am genuinely confused. If you see an issue like that happening in software and you just pretend not to care because it doesn't really slow you down, that's like saying you're okay with your living room being full of actual dog shit because technically you can still get to the kitchen. Like, no, you are still surrounded by little nuggets of poop. Do you like being surrounded by little nuggets of poop? I am not just being a baby. I'm not just nitpicking. I'm not just complaining for the sake of complaining. This matters. Software matters. Apple doesn't care what I'm saying over here all by myself. And until there are more people like me speaking up, software experiences for everyone are just going to continue to decline. And that usually brings up the responses from Apple fans screeching, but at least it's better than the competition. No, listen, you simpleton. I am not talking about the competition, okay? Just because there are other experiences out there that are worse, because I'm sure there are a ton of them. Just because there are other bad experiences does not mean my experience is any less bad. That's like saying, I'm not allowed to be thirsty because there are some people out there in the world that don't have access to water. Like, no, I still feel thirsty. I'm only comparing Apple to themselves. And I'm worried that the Apple that had software at the forefront, at their focus, it just doesn't exist anymore. And I know you might not have the same complaints as I do, but just because you don't see the problem doesn't mean the problem doesn't exist for others. And I genuinely wish that more people like you, like me, cared more, because honestly, it's kind of sad. When I leak products, the leaks that most people care about relate to hardware. Like, more attention and more views come to leaks that show you what the next thing is going to look like, instead of wanting to know how that piece of hardware communicates with software. For whatever reason, most people just care about what something looks like because that's how they know it's new. That's just where the attention is. That's what you want. So it's your fault. It's my fault for giving in. It is our fault that people care less and less about software. If you're an Apple fan and you're upset, listen, it is okay that someone is saying this. It doesn't mean that Apple is not great or the best for you. Don't take something like this so very personally. You are not Apple, and Apple doesn't care about you the way you think they care about you. Stop going to bat for them always. It is okay for someone to question things. It's okay for you to question things even though you still love them. That's how we end up with better things.
Most things in life, the dynamic range between average and the best is at most 2 to 1. Right? Like if you go to New York City and you're getting an average taxi cab driver versus the best taxi cab driver, you're probably going to get to your destination with the best taxi cab maybe 30% faster. In an automobile, what's the difference between an average and the best? Maybe, 20%. The best CD player and an average CD player, 20%. So 2 to 1 is a big dynamic range in most of life. In software, and it used to be the case in hardware too, the difference between average and the best is 50 to 1, maybe 100 to 1.
If we don't bring attention to stuff like this, if we don't ask these questions, who will? It starts with us. We are the ones that a lot of regular consumers are turning to for information, whether they're watching a YouTube video or they're asking you personally, like in your family, in your life. You know this stuff better than they do, so they ask you. And for some reason, none of us are saying outright like, hey, yeah, it's a good product, but the software needs to be improved. It's a little buggy here and there. It's a little sloppier than it used to be, and you should know that. You should want it to be better. Just so consider that when you're looking at all the other products in the market. We aren't saying that. Instead, we're just being like, it's next level, and I'm sorry. I don't think that's helpful. Apple is slipping on software because we are letting them. Frustration. That is what creates change. stress and frustration when you're using a product or a service, that is what makes someone consider looking elsewhere. It's never because some other platform offered a cooler feature and showed it in a commercial. And really, that's life. The real reason people make big changes in their lives is because they were frustrated enough to do so. A lot of times people don't try something new until something that they've been used to stops working. And that's where I'm getting with Apple.